Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from the UK. Today is Friday, the 8th of September 2023. I'm so glad you're joining me today, whether you're a returning viewer or you're watching for the first time, in which case, welcome. This is a knitting podcast, although I have been dabbling in crochet blankets recently, and there will definitely be some crochet today. First of all, I didn't record last weekend, and honestly, even 2 weeks since last recording, I feel like I don't have that much to show you. I don't know. I mean, part of it is that I have been crocheting a blanket, which obviously just takes a lot of crafting time. But yeah, I've just dropped off the earth a little bit, and I have a feeling it's going to continue because I am starting a new job next week, which is crazy. So God knows what's going to happen, but I thought I'd take the chance today to record. And first of all, thank you so much to everyone who left nice comments or purchased my new pattern that I released last time I podcasted, which was my Frosty Path mitts. Honestly, I never want to force you guys to buy anything or support me because I do this mostly for fun. But I do appreciate every single one of you. That was such a lovely reception, and obviously I hadn't published anything in a long while. And I went more into details about my design plans and how they've shifted and all of that, I think last episode and the one before that. But yeah, just a blanket thank you. I really appreciate it. So yeah, thank you. And I hope to see your Frosty Path mittens pop up. So if you do make some, please do tag me on Instagram and all of those things, because I love seeing what other people make. When you dream up a design, I have a certain sort of image and yarn and color in mind, but then other people do completely different things, and it's really cool. Yeah, so before we get into the actual knitting, I thought I'd very quickly mention what I am wearing, because this dress used to be a white dress. It's like a white flower dress. I'm not sure if you can tell the pattern, which I've had for years and years. The elastic is sort of gone because I also wore it when I was pregnant, which is 3 years ago now. How crazy is that? Yeah, but I ruined it the other day. I spilled something on it, and there was no getting that stain out. So I actually used acid dyes to ice dye this, which I thought I would mention on the podcast since it is a little bit crafty. So if you don't know what ice dyeing is, and essentially you put whatever you're dyeing into like a small container. So then you can put ice cubes on top, and they sort of stay on top of your garment. And then as you put dyes on it, or you put dyes on the ice, and then it'll sort of slowly melt, and like the colors do really crazy things, as you can tell. So I'm really happy how this turned out. It's very sort of all over the place, but I think it worked out really well. I also iced out a couple of things for the toddler because I keep on buying him sort of light things and he gets some stains, so then I just dye them. So yeah, I thought I would mention that very quickly, and I'm so happy it worked out because, again, this is just like an H&M dress or something, but I've been wearing it for years and years. Like, it's just a really nice sort of cut and flattering silhouette, and I tried to find this one again, but I think it's been like 6 or 7 years since I bought it, so I'm glad I managed to at least rescue it somehow. Alright, let's talk about some knitting. 3 minutes in and we haven't mentioned knitting. I have 2 finished objects. I finally sat down and finished these stripy socks, which are Fab Funky Fibers in the Octavia colorway. Fab Funky Fibers is a UK-based self-striping yarn dyer, and my husband Kai gave me this yarn for my birthday in May. So I basically sent him her shop or her Etsy shop or something and told him, pick something, I will love it. And he picked this colorway, which I really like. In the beginning I wasn't sure about it when it was in the skein, but now I really do like it. And I had 100 grams of this. Usually I only buy 50 grams of self-striping because with sort of contrasting cuffs and heels and such, I can get a pair of socks out of a 50 gram self-striping. But he got me the 100 gram edition, so I have done the entire sock stripe. There is no contrast anywhere. And in order to not disrupt the striping, I mean, what I should have done is an afterthought heel, because that looks cooler in my personal opinion. But I just wound yarn from the inside of the ball, so it doesn't look as cool as it does when you do the afterthought heel and the stripe sort of goes this way. But I've just been knitting a lot of afterthought heels lately and I didn't feel like it. But because I used the inside of the ball, this sort of color repeat isn't interrupted and I think it looks really, really cool. So I'm very happy to have these done. I think I hadn't even cast on the second one last time I talked to you, but last weekend I just sat down and forced myself to knit on these. I just need to get some whips off the needles, to be honest, because my mind is completely not in knitting at the moment. I am all about like the crochet blankets, although I am starting to feel that knitting cast on itch again. I'll talk about that later. But I just feel like I need to finish some things, and this one seems sort of doable. I'll talk about my Peacock sweater later, but again, that's something I want to finish because I am pretty close to finishing it. The Eastlander sweater, on the other hand, I'm just not feeling it. I think that one is just gonna go in the naughty corner for a bit, and I'll pick it up in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I just wanted to get the projects that are sort of able to be finished quite quickly off the needles. But in between all of this, I did cast on something new because on Monday, Kai and I, my husband and I, we took a child-free trip, like a little day trip while my son was in nursery, because I'm starting my new job next week, but my son was starting his sort of longer nursery hours this week. So we thought we'd make the most of it because, if you don't know, we don't have any family around here. It's basically just us the whole time. So we don't have a babysitter. We rarely get to spend time by ourselves. So I think like the 6 hours we had without a child was probably the longest time we've spent since he was born, which is crazy. So we went to a town close by, and they have a John Lewis, and I had a look at the Rowan felted tweed, and Kai fell in love with it, and I was really surprised because he always wants this merino superwash, like the softest yarn possible, but he really fell in love with Rowan felted tweed, which I think it's soft, but it's definitely more of a woolly yarn. There's some alpaca in it, but he fell in love with it and immediately wanted to have a hat in this color. So, what could I do? So this is colorway Seafarer in the Rowan felted tweed, which is this label. They come in 50-gram balls, and I decided to play yarn chicken and only get one ball. And what I did is I just made a stockinette hat with a 1x1 folded brim. I cast on 100 stitches on a 3.75mm needle, and the hat is a little bit too big. It's not too big, it's roomy for me, but I think for him it's perfect, and it's so cozy. And I used up pretty much all of the yarn. I had a very, very tiny amount left because he wanted a brim that you fold up. So obviously if you fold it down, it's quite a big hat. But yeah, I'm happy to have used up all of the yarn, like definitely maximize the yardage out of this one. And yeah, so this will go into Kai's wardrobe. And we are in the middle of a heat wave here in the UK. It's like 32 degrees Celsius at the moment, which is crazy. I am melting. Our house is 27 degrees inside because we're in the UK and there is no aircon. But I suspect we will be changing into hats and all of those things soon. And yeah, I love it. This is such a beautiful color. I actually have the same color in stash, paired with like a neutral gray, maybe beigey gray, to make myself a striped sweater very soon. But obviously I couldn't cut into that quantity because I had bought that in order to be able to make that sweater. So yeah, I love this color and I was really enjoying knitting on it. I think I finished this within 2 days. I didn't knit on anything else. And it's just a plain basic hat. I did some knit 2 together decreases, just randomly threw them in when I thought I was running out of yarn. And yeah, I think this will be really, really good. So that is one finished object, and we're very quickly going to jump into acquisitions because Kai also convinced me to get a skein for myself. Originally I wasn't going to because I have no business buying more yarn for myself, but he really liked this color, and I first gravitated towards like a lavender sort of purple color and carried that skein around John Lewis, and then eventually it's like, you know what, you're right, I should have gotten that, I should get that rusty orange, because it's definitely a fall color that I've been thinking about and seeing, and I am getting ready for autumn. Don't get me wrong, like I have actually bought myself some winter shoes that I think are a very, very similar color to this. And like this is just a color that I really enjoy at the moment, even though it doesn't go with my dress at all. This is, oh, it doesn't tell me, it's shade number 154. It doesn't say the colorway name on here, but this is beautiful. So this is going to be a similar hat for me. I'm thinking I might do a 1x1 ribbed hat, because that's my favorite in terms of wearing hats. So I'm hoping to very soon whip up that hat for myself as well. So that is my acquisition for this week. Moving on to works in progress, and like I mentioned, I am trying to get some whips off the needle, so I have been honestly pushing myself to at least finish one sleeve on my Peacock sweater. So this is Peacock sweater, I've talked about it a million times, I'm not going to go into detail again, but it has the body finished, even though it is rolling all over the place. The body is finished. One sleeve is finished, and honestly, I don't know what it is about this. Like, the yarn is lovely, the pattern is lovely. I don't usually mind knitting sleeves, but I think I just want to crochet. I honestly pushed myself so hard to just finish the stupid sleeve yesterday. I was really grumpy by the end of it, because it's also, again, it's very warm and the heat just makes me grumpy. But yeah, we have one finished sleeve, and I'm just going to, at some point, possibly next week when I'm doing trainings for work from home, I think that'll involve a lot of, watching videos on all kinds of like safety inductions and whatnot. So hopefully I can, have this on my desk and just knit that sleeve and finish the sweater, because I think it'll be really lovely. I'm really looking forward to wearing the sweater. Yeah, I don't know. Something is wrong with me at the moment. I'm just not feeling it. But here it is. I have finished one sleeve, and I have finally started using my third ball of yarn. This is the Fiber Co. Amble in the Fair Hill colorway. And yeah, this is how much I've knit, and I've barely used my third skein of yarn. So I don't know how that's possible, because this is what is it? It says fingering, but it's 325 meters per 100 grams, which sounds like sport to me. And I think I'm knitting it at a DK gauge. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, here we are. So that's one thing I've been working on. And then, honestly, the only other thing I have been working on like an absolute mad woman is my blanket. Look at it. So again, this is my Fireside blanket by Attic24, who is this amazing crochet designer. All her patterns are free, but she, I think, works with Stylecraft and Wool Warehouse to create these kits. So you can buy the kit from Wool Warehouse in the UK, and you get like a printed pattern, like, so I think it's like 10 or 12 pages with colors and all of that good stuff, and all the yarn, like the original color palette. And it's not very much money. It is an acrylic yarn, but I think I am starting to understand why crocheters like to use acrylic for these kinds of projects, because it just works really well. Like, it's reasonably light, much lighter than cotton would be. It's reasonably priced. Like, the price is pretty good, because obviously for blankets you need a lot of yarn. So if you were to use like super nice wool or cotton, which I would do for a garment, for like a blanket, that's a lot of yarn. But anyways, yeah, I love it so much. So I have finished, as you can probably tell, I have finished all the squares. The white stitch marker. The white piece of string is where I was last time I showed it to you, so you can just tell. I think it goes this way. Like, I've done like at least 3 more rows. I've done a lot of crochet on this since I last talked to you, and I have now started the border, which this is the first time I am deviating from the pattern, because the pattern, so far I've just done exactly what the pattern says, but basically use all of the colors in the blanket for like a really wide granny stripe sort of border. And I didn't like the color order. I wanted the colors to be gradiating more. So to get more of like a, it's not going to be a rainbow, but more of a gradient effect rather than a stripy effect. So I basically just laid out all the colors and put them in the order that I wanted, and that is what I'm doing now. So I am on my third color. The first two look very, very similar. I'm now on the third color, and you do 2 stripes or 2 rounds per color. And I have so much yarn left. I've seen some people make it bigger by making wider stripes, but I didn't want to make wider stripes because I like the look of the 2-row granny stripes. Crochet terms, I cannot do them. So what I think I will do is I will go through all of my colors and then decide if I'm going to, just keep going. Because I think I will end on this purple. So from this purple, I could then, again, go into the blue. So I could just keep going if I wanted to. I don't think this is going to be a huge blanket. And I am undecided whether I want to just keep the leftovers and I will use them for another blanket. Or I'll use them for something. Or if I want to, make this as big as I possibly can. So I'm just going to keep on crocheting my straps, which I'm actually really, really enjoying. And then I'll decide if I keep going or if I just stop once I've finished, the stripes according to the pattern. But yeah, I love this so much. I keep rambling on about this fireside blanket, but I love it very, very much. I am using a 4mm crochet hook, which is one size down from what the pattern suggests. But that sort of worked out with, how big the squares are supposed to be. And now that I've done this and I've seen how much yarn I do have left over, even though I am getting, the right gauge. Is there a gauge in crochet? I think for my next blanket I might actually go up a size, and if everything becomes a bit, more drapey and looser and bigger, that's not a problem. But for my first one, I wanted to make sure that my squares are the right size, because obviously I didn't want to run out of yarn. And the yarn for this is, again, what comes with the pattern, which is Stylecraft Heather's DK, I think. So it's not the regular Stylecraft DK, it's one that looks a bit more heathered, as the name would suggest. And these colors are just beautiful, I think. So yeah, that is my second whip that has basically taken up all of my crafting time. And yes, it is ridiculous, like, it is so warm here in the UK. All of these ends are woven in, by the way. I just need to snip them off. It is so warm here in the UK, and like yesterday, Kai took a trip to Brighton because I was like, yeah, I'm not going on a 2-hour train trip at like 32 degrees. Like, that is ridiculous. And also I had to do some like life admin and stuff anyways. So I'm the sort of person, I will hide inside in front of the fan and work on a crochet blanket in a heat wave. That's just what I did. But it was really nice. I enjoyed it. I mean, it would have been nicer if it wasn't so hot. But yeah, I've been working on this through the heat wave, and I'm going to continue doing that today because I love it. I love it so much. Talking about crochet blankets, I don't want to say I've been naughty because I can do whatever I want. But I have been buying more yarn to plan more blankets. And if you're saying, didn't you start a V-stitch blanket and then sort of never mention it again? Yes, I did. And I need to go back to that as well because I really did enjoy it. But I have ordered more of the Stylecraft DK yarn to make a sort of very colorful rainbow blanket, because this one is slightly muted and I wanted a really, really colorful one. So that yarn has arrived and I just need to pick whatever pattern I'm going to use. Like, I love all the Attic 24 patterns because essentially I think all of the sort of yarn packs or colors, like there's always like all these different options of, you can use the Dune pattern at Dune pack to make the fireside blanket, or like they're all pretty interchangeable, and all of them are reasonably easy but also slightly challenging. And there's photo tutorials on her blog. Like, love the whole like Attic 24 world at the moment. So I haven't decided. I might, because I think that one I might sort of arrange by rainbow order and do possibly a ripple blanket. I have a ripple blanket that I never finished, but that was in sock yarn, so it took forever. And then yesterday or the day before, I was looking at the hashtag fireside blanket, the one I just showed you, to see what other people did with it, and I found one in a completely different color palette, and it looked completely different. And so I looked it up, and that was the Dune pack, Dune, which is all these beautiful shades of like blue and beige and turquoise, and it's very, very subtle. And I started looking into that, and I fell in love with that color palette as well. So I think I'm just going to be crocheting forever, because after like a little bit of back and forth, I've now ordered that yarn pack as well. So there's going to be lots of blankets in my future. And yeah, I feel really bad because I feel like I'm cheating on the knitting at the moment. But the crochet, I'm just really enjoying it. Like the texture of it and the playing with colors, and yeah, I'm just in a crochet mood if I'm being honest. So yeah, sorry if you're not a crocheter. I wasn't a crocheter for a long time, and I don't think I'm ever going to get into like crochet garments, or I hate all the fiddly little toys. Like I would never do that. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it at the moment, so I have a feeling that'll be what I'm doing throughout autumn as well. But I also have some knitting plans. This hat sooner or later, but this will take me, I don't know, 2 days and I can have a hat, so that'll be a quick project. I have finally finished the socks. I haven't really knitted socks in a while. A couple of weeks I didn't touch any socks, and some of you viewers did pick up on it and thought it was funny because I'm always knitting socks. So maybe I'll start sock knitting again. I think it'll be quite good actually again for sort of commuting and desk knitting once I sort of get settled in a little bit. So possibly some socks on the horizon. And then, I don't know how, yesterday the idea popped into my head. I need to knit another anchor sweater, which you're gonna laugh because I've knit 4. I think I've knit 4. 3 anchors sweaters and 1 anchors top, which is by a pattern by Petite Knit. I need a pink one. I totally need a pink anchor sweater, and I am thinking I might actually look through my stash and cast one on today. I have 1 cone of yarn in mind for it. And should I get it? Let's get it. Ta-da! Actually, I found out I have 2 cones that I could use for it. So both of these are like a dusky pink. Like, don't you agree? Don't I need an anchor sweater in this color? Yeah, I keep knitting the same patterns. We've talked about this in the past, but yeah, I think I have a almost black anchor sweater, which is my favorite. Like that one, just in terms of fit and drape, just turned out perfectly. Then I knit a yellow one, which I didn't love because I think the positive ease is too little. So it's very fitted, and also I like the yarn, but I think I didn't love the yarn. I made a teal cotton version, a cotton top, using some drops cotton, which I actually quite enjoy. And then, of course, I made my burgundy one most recently. I think I talked about that on the podcast, which was out of blacker yarns. And that one turned out really well. Again, a little bit too fitted maybe. I need to definitely make sure I have enough positive ease, but still beautiful. But yeah, dusky pink. Like, these almost look gray, but believe me, there is a pink tone to it. And in terms of color, I think I prefer this one. Both of these cones I got from Yeoman Yarns here in the UK. Yeoman? Someone told me how to pronounce it, I forgot it again. And the thing is, they don't really tell you where they are. Like, sometimes it's hard to find out what yarn this exactly is because they sell yarn mostly for machine knitting. But they are yarns that you can usually also buy in skein form, so you can use them for either. I just buy the cones because they are like much more affordable. And this one is my favorite in terms of color. This is called Recycled Wool. Candy Floss Anyone is the colorway. But you can see it's like a little bit like tweedy, but this is it focusing? Maybe not. This is like a single ply. It's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. I wish I could show you the color better. There's like all these flecks in it. Like this reminds me, that's like a Debbie Bliss yarn that's single ply. You know, like that sort of single ply is slightly thick and thin. Like this is not super soft. This is definitely like a proper like rustic wool. But because this is single ply, does anyone remember the drama I had with my single ply weaving yarn? If you don't remember, I think just when I started the podcast again in this house, I had gotten myself like 1.5 kilos of weaving yarn for something like 15 quid or 20 quid. It was ridiculous. Someone was selling it. So I bought all these cones of random weaving yarn, which was single ply. And because it was weaving yarn, the twist was too high, and the entire garment that I knit, the entire lentil, just warped and twisted all over the place. It was horrible. It was horrible. And I asked you back then for advice, and there were some things that people suggested, but nothing would really guarantee the outcome, because you can't just take some twist out that easily. Anyways, I destashed those, actually gifted those to someone. So I got rid of those yarns because I wanted to rather spend my time knitting than deal with some random destash yarn that I found for next to no money somewhere. And like, I want to spend my time knitting. And I spend so much time knitting the lentil, and it is, I mean, I guess it could be wearable, but I'm never going to wear it. It's such a shame. Anyways, so now this is not a weaving yarn, this is a knitting yarn, but I'm still a little bit paranoid. What if it happens again? And lots of people suggested, like, of course, if you knit something flat, it doesn't matter, because then it'll sort of twist in like both directions. So it'll even itself out. It's only in the round when it becomes really, really pronounced. So now I'm really paranoid about using this. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll keep this for a cardigan. I'm not sure. This, it's not really, it's like a dark pink. It's almost like a purple though. But this yarn is really exciting. This is Sheepsoft by Laxton's. So Laxton's are a British mill, one of the biggest ones, I think. They spin a lot of yarn both for different dyers and commercial yarn, and for like the fashion industry. They do a lot of different things. But they also have their own yarn line. I think they have two now, but this is their first one. This is their Sheepsoft, which comes in a DK and a fingering. And I've used the DK version of theirs to make a cable cardigan by Andrea Mowry years and years ago. And I love that cardigan. I have worn it to death. It's beautiful. It doesn't pill. So again, when I found these on sale as a cone, I thought let's definitely get a cone. So this is the fingering weight version. This is a 4-ply in the colorway Settle Heather. And maybe I should use this. This, again, it's 100% wool yarn. I think it's all within like Yorkshire, within a couple, like, is this 50 miles? The sheep are sheared and the yarn is spun and dyed. Like, it's all done in like a very small radius, which is really cool. And yeah, maybe I should use this. This is sort of what I was thinking about when I was imagining my pink anchor sweater. This is the color that I want, but I think this will be the better choice in terms of the yarn and wearability and not running into any snags. So this is what I'm thinking right now. I might also, dig some more around my stash and see, because I like pink, so there is a likelihood that there is more pink in my stash, but I'm not actually sure if there is. I have some very bright pink, but I don't want like a flamingo pink anchors. I want like a muted, like grayish pink anchor sweater, I think. So maybe I'll do this one. We'll see. I'll keep you updated and show you next time if I do cast something on. But yeah, so maybe my knitting mojo is coming back. Maybe I just need to, start some new projects, because besides that hat, I haven't really done any sort of new cast-ons in a couple of weeks. So yeah, those are my knitting plans, my knitting ideas, and everything that I've been working on, which doesn't feel like a whole lot, but there we are. So if you're only here for the knitting content, then I will just see you again next week, because I'm just going to be rambling about random life happenings. But if you do want to stick around, then yeah, here we go. So like I mentioned, everything is sort of in flux at the moment. We've been trying to fit everything in before I start my new job next Monday, which is crazy. It's 3 days. And trying to get toddlers settled. He's already settled in nursery, but obviously now he's got longer days, and he's finding that quite hard, even though it is not super long and it's only 3 days a week. Like, we're trying to keep it really chill for him, but still, obviously it's a transition. And yeah, as you can tell, maybe I'm recording in a different spot because I've now got my desk and everything set up, which is quite exciting. My family is currently in the UK, so we've been seeing them, which has been nice. We got a new boiler last week. That all worked out and is working perfectly, except for the fact that Kai keeps on accidentally turning off the hot water. So I've had a couple of cold showers, but it is working perfectly, and that went really smoothly, thank God. Our renderers have ghosted us. The rendering saga continues, but supposedly they are now turning up again to fix what they've broken, essentially. So we'll see how that goes, because the plan was to use this week to paint our house, and it is now Friday. We have not painted because our render has not been fixed, so who knows? I don't care anymore. I'm just so over it. But yeah, in between all of this, I have been crocheting my little heart out, and I really hope that, even if obviously priorities in life is going to change a bit over the next couple of weeks and months, I really hope that I can still find time to craft, because I think it's very, very important for my mental health. And yeah, I've lost my mojo a little bit, I think, throughout the whole summer of, interviews and references and, life admin, a lot of life admin. But I'm definitely starting to feel the urge to make things again. I mean, I've never stopped making things, but I think I wasn't making things very passionately. But now I'm feeling the urge to, do all the yarny things again. And obviously I'm just waiting for autumn to come back. Last week was really chilly. It was actually like almost cold. And I was sitting in my rowan furted tweed jacket, and it was nice and cozy. And now we're back to just sweating, which is horrible, and I'm so over it. But I'm sure autumn will be back very, very soon, and I am quite excited by that. Alright, so if you have stuck around, I'm sorry. I always feel like my podcasts are a bit all over the place, but I think that's because my brain is all over the place. There's just only so much I can fit into my brain at the moment, and yeah, I'm just trying to be okay with that, be okay with the fact that like not everything has to be scripted and perfect and whatnot. So thank you so much if you have stuck around. I will see you guys soon, whether that's in a week or two, I cannot promise, but you can always follow me on Instagram if you want to sort of see random live snippets. I'm the Happy Knitting Podcast on there as well. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope all of you are healthy and safe and enjoying some yarny things in your life. And I will see you again very soon. Thank you for watching. Happy knitting. Bye.